Hello, I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. In this video, I'm going to be discussing social justice warriors and how to combat them, how to fight them. If this topic interests you, stay tuned. What is a social justice warrior, an SJW for short? They are people that usually fight for the rights of others. They are fighting for the less privileged, and they're fighting for minorities and those with sexual differences. And on the surface, this might seem like a noble thing. Unfortunately, what it's become is a use of coercion, a threat of violence, a violation of the non-aggression principle, where they are trying to force their views onto others to create an equality of outcome rather than an equality of opportunity. The equality of outcome is sometimes known as equity. This means that everybody gets treated the same regardless of how well they're performing. And so it's based on everybody gets the same outcome. Even though we're not all the same in our outcome, we might have all equal opportunity to get as far as we like. You can't regulate making it all equal when it comes to the outcome. You're always going to have classes. You're always going to have differences in outcome. But really what the problem with this is it's fundamentally a violation of the non-aggression principle, the NAP. The non-aggression principle is about not transgressing against other people to get something. So if you have to, threaten or force them through, I'm going to fine you, I'm going to take money from you, you're going to get prosecuted for a hate crime or these kinds of things, then you are violating the non-aggression principle. You say, well, but they were being violent first. This is self-defense. Well, yeah, I don't know. Free ideas, diversity of ideas is not violence. Diversity of ideas is healthy. It's healthy to have these kinds of discussions so we can get to know each other's perspectives and get to know each other where you're coming from. Intellectual empathy is an incredibly important tool in the quiver of a free thinker because we need to be able to go into the thought patterns, thinking of other people to understand them. Now, one of the problems is a lot of people are very intellectual, but they're not necessarily applying it to themselves. They're not being they're not taking their knowledge, their understanding, and applying it to their own lives. They're trying to force it on others. They've externalized their knowledge. They've externalized their understanding and their wisdom. And so it's not self-applied. And these people they're going to lack empathy. They're going to lack compassion. So there are a lot of people out there like that, whether they're on the right or the left. A lot of people that lack this kind of compassion and empathy because they themselves have not been applying their knowledge, their understanding into their own lives. This is the brilliant thing about EFT, the emotional freedom techniques. In the process, the unity process itself, is we're able to go within and start applying that knowledge and that understanding and that wisdom into our own lives, correcting our thinking. And when we correct our thinking, we're able to clear these wrong thought patterns that are causing us to be logically fallacious. So how do you combat an SJW? Well, one thing you might do is you might want to just start being able to think. You want to realize it's a violation of the non-aggression principle, and you don't really need to go into all the different things about transgender this and, personal pronouns that, and everybody has their own whatever. Well, is there any force involved in this? Are you going to coerce me in any way? No, not going to do it. I only give voluntarily. I'm not going to do anything at the threat of violence. If you have a good reason for something and I agree with that reason, then I can voluntarily go along with it as a voluntarist type person, but I will not be coerced into anything. That's just not what I'm going to do. So that's the first thing we have to do. We have to correct that mindset. And I have a video on that where you can work with EFT where I tap through going from a coercive view of giving to a voluntary view of giving. But the next thing we need to do is we need to stop being a damn social justice warrior. What do you mean? How are we a social justice warrior? Well, in our private lives, we have these things where we're not very attractive. We can't create the life that we really want. We can't attract those things to us that we really want. And so then we start demanding of our partners. And so some of the normal gender roles that really get kind of confused is men provide money for the family and women provide sex to the husband. This is a very typical gender role. But this is a kind of a coercive thing, and I talked about this in the last video as well. What we need to do, though, is we need to stop expecting our partner to give us things based on, their responsibility. Well, they need to do this for me because I can't do it for myself. Well, I can't be attractive for myself. That's really the biggest thing. I can't be attractive enough to attract the things and the resources into my life that, I should be able to attract in my life. And so now I'm going to try to force others to do that for me and to enable my lack of attractiveness. And when I say attractive, yes, there is the implication of looking good, attractive person. But really, an idea can be attractive. A concept can be attractive. A personality can be attractive. And also beyond that, just a magnet is attractive. The North Pole attracts the South Pole. Questions attract answers. Polarities are in an attractive relationship together, and we need to learn how to be attractive. If you want your wife to give you sex all the time, and you aren't willing to be an attractive male to get sex, to attract sex into your life from your partner, when you're first together and you're in that honeymoon phase, there's a lot of attraction. You guys are having sex like rabbits. But why? Because there is attraction there. But something happens somewhere through the relationship where the attractiveness dies. You stop being an attractive male. You stop being this man that carries himself in an attractive way. And the female is the same thing. Maybe it's not about sex that she's not attracting, but she's not attracting money the way that she used to be. She's not pulling it into her life, and now she's kind of becoming a vampire that way. And really, what does that mean when you're coercing? It's rape. So it's, if in a typical fashion, the financial rape, sexual rape, any kind of a thing where you are not being responsible for your attractiveness, because that's really what his responsibility is. We say, you're not being a responsible wife because you're not giving me sex. You're not being a responsible husband because you're not giving me money. No, I'm not being a responsible man by attracting sex. The woman is not being a responsible woman by attracting money. And, this is just a typical gender role, but there can be other things that we're not being responsible for. Let's say in a business, we're not attracting clients. I'm not being responsible. So I'm going to go into manipulative techniques, propaganda. I'm going to use certain kinds of subliminal messages in my messaging. I'm going to use certain techniques to program people into thinking that they need to buy my products when they really don't need to buy my products. I'm not being attractive. I am manipulating. I'm coercing. I'm using force. I'm just doing so in a very subtle fashion, oftentimes. I'm doing this in my relationships. I'm doing this in my business relationships. I'm doing this in all these different areas of my life, and I don't even realize it. I'm being a social justice warrior. Well, you know what? If it's going to annoy you, these, left commies that are wanting to literally force everybody to have this equity. But if you weren't trying to get equity in your own personal relationships, this wouldn't be a problem. Be an attractive person and you will get the things that you want in your life, rather than not be an attractive person and you try to force others to give you things that you're not being responsible for. If you were responsible with your money, meaning that you weren't giving it away, and you were not just that, but you were being responsible and you were attracting it, because that's what financial responsibility really is about. Not about how much you spend, it's about how much you attract. Sex, it's about how much sex you attract, not how much you spend. So we need to learn how to be attractive with the things that we are going into and looking at. That's where our responsibility lies. Responsibility doesn't lie in being obedient little slaves giving to everybody that says we should give. Our responsibility doesn't lie within giving sex to a man because he's my husband, or giving money to a woman because she's my wife. That's not responsibility. Responsibility is being attractive. So if you want to combat the social justice warriors, you're going to have to stop acting like one in your family. You're going to have to stop acting like one in your business. You're going to have to stop acting like one in your community. The answer is inside of us. We fight by going within. We fight by changing our thinking. We fight by healing our emotions, correcting our limiting programs, our limiting beliefs, so that we can now operate in a way that is voluntary, healthy, responsible. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you'd like to stay up to date with my videos, please subscribe. If you would like to be notified via email whenever I release a new video, please click the bell next to subscribe. If you have any comments or questions or would like to go into a dialogue about this topic, please leave them in the comments section below. I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. Be safe, be sovereign, be well.